Good morning, everyone, and welcome to a beautiful summer morning here east of Toronto, and we are in a all-new 2026 Aston Martin Vantage Roadster. And that is going to make this beautiful morning even more beautiful. The Vantage Roadster version was unveiled in January 2025, so this is a very, very fresh car. As you can see, we have a folding soft top, and Aston tells me that it uses a Z-fold technique instead of a K-fold, which allows it to fold down faster. I don't know what a Z-fold or a K-fold is. All I know is that this thing only takes 6 odd seconds to retract fully, and a Ferrari Roma takes about double the time to retract fully. So whatever they want to call it, a Z-fold or a K-fold, it does work, and you can operate the top up and down at speeds up to 50 kilometers an hour, which is 30 miles per hour. Couldn't be easier. The little switch here, you press it, it goes up, it goes down. That action is pretty cool. Now, they didn't just take the top off. They also added some bracing strategically throughout the chassis to kind of shore up what structure was lost when you take the roof off of a car. They also retuned the rear suspension and retuned the mounts for the rear transaxle to cope with the different chassis dynamics that come from having a convertible. As you may have guessed, this work has added some weight. The convertible is 60 kilograms, or about 130 pounds, heavier than the coupe version. The top itself has 8 layers of insulation, so it's quiet on the highway and probably contributing a bit to that 60 kilogram weight increase. And I know you're thinking, you know what, Clayton? This sounds really nice. It also sounds really expensive. Well, you know what? You're right. This car is really expensive. It has a base MSRP of $259,700. Before you consider that there is a mandatory $4,600 you will pay in freight. Add those two numbers together, you're essentially looking at $264,300 before you've talked about tax or added a single option to this car. And let me tell you about the options, because this car, as tested, is $374,000. That's right, this car has over $100,000 in options. And the biggest option on this car, the most expensive one, is the first one that people notice, and it is the one that gets the most compliments of anything on the car. It's that color. That California Sage green paint is from the Provence collection. That's right, this car is so fancy, the paints don't have like names, they have collections. So for the privilege of this amazing green paint, you will pay $27,000 for this paint. This is a $27,000 paint job. I have been lucky enough to drive some very expensive cars, but this might be the most expensive paint I have ever reviewed. My thoughts are that paying $27,000 for paint, which could buy you an actual car for $27,000, is ridiculous. However, if a paint could be worth $27,000, I think it would be this one. It looks amazing in all lights. The quality of the paint is superb, and it sounds outrageous to say it, but honestly, I kind of see it. I kind of see the value in the $27,000 paint. But maybe it's time to now let that engine do the talking. Press the center-mounted engine start button. After a brief waiting period, the engine comes to life. And of course, it's a beautiful day, so it's time to put the top down. And there's just one switch right here. I just press it, and it takes about 6 seconds, 6.8, I believe. The top goes fully down. It'll give me a little beep when it's done. And just like that, we're driving. I'm also going to commit the cardinal sin of putting windows up with the top down because I need better audio. And the shades are going on. Let's get driving. On the road in the Aston Martin Vantage Roadster. The V8 sound permeates this car. It is a core pillar of the experience, is that V8. Even at low revs, even with quiet mode exhaust as we have now, you hear it all the time. But it's we're going to click it into Sport Plus mode, which toggles the loud button so you can actually hear it a little more. So this engine is sourced from AMG. It is handmade in Alfalterbach with like all the other AMG V8s. It is a 4-liter hot V twin turbo. In fact, you open the hood, you can see the 2 turbos right there on top. This engine, for the refreshed version of this car, these cars used to make 509 horsepower. Now they make 656. That is apparently the largest single increase in horsepower for an Aston model in their history. And I believe them, because that's a huge jump from 509 to over 650. They achieved this increase by doing it the old-fashioned way. They fit larger turbos, and they revised the camshaft profile, and they optimized the compression ratio, which typically on a boost car application like this means that they drop the mechanical compression ratio of the pistons so that you can run more boost through the turbos. Either way, power is massively up. Torque, by the way, similarly up from about 505 to 590. What that means is that this car is belligerently fast. 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds, onto a top speed of 204 miles an hour. And the whole time it's doing it, it sounds like a NASCAR that went to finishing school. Listen. Now, Mercedes also makes the 8-speed rear-mounted automatic transaxle for this car, so it is a AMG drivetrain in the Vantage Roadster. And I was worried it might kind of take away the soul. Allow me to alleviate such concerns. Even though it's the same V8 that you'd get in a bunch of different AMG products, although they tuned it differently, you can't buy this version. It doesn't compromise the soul of this vehicle. It still feels like an Aston, and my worry was that it was going to feel lost, kind of without an identity. That's not the case. What it does feel like is effing fast. So, what does that much power feel like? Well, you put it in launch mode, fully depress the brake, fully depress the gas, rate stars active, away we go. It is stupid fast. And that soundtrack is just divine. Whether or not you have the loud mode on, it kind of always sounds like loud mode. And I would say that in the track mode, there are what I would even call tasteful pops and bangs from the exhaust, not that full shotgun stuff that the Jaguars used to do. It sounds nice, actually. If I have a critique of the engine, it's that those larger turbos have produced lag. So I'm in third, we're in manual mode, I'm gonna whack it, wait, there we go. So you don't get the instant hit of an NA motor. That's just a factor of it. And I'm assuming these turbos are rather large to make that much power from 4 liters. So that's the price you're gonna pay. You pay in terms of response of this engine, but you certainly can't doubt the shove. Now, it's not just a one-trick pony with a ton of power. This car is actually a joy to drive. It feels very balanced. It actually has slightly rearward weight distribution, 51% in the rear, 49 front. And it's got those big optional carbon ceramic brakes. The brake feel is good. The transmission shift logic in automatic mode isn't as smart as a Porsche PDK, it just isn't. But it doesn't get in the way. If you're going quickly, you just want to shift it yourself, but that's kind of more fun anyways. Through the turns, it's communicative, but the Ferrari Roma does have the edge in terms of the feeling through corners. It's a much more communicative car with sharper steering. This car handles really, really well, but you do notice the weight. It's around 4,000 pounds and you feel it. That being said, the steering feel for this kind of car is commendably good. I can feel so much more, and that's because Aston does not isolate the steering column, which means I feel vibrations. I feel what the front tires are doing through the wheel. And that's a compromise because it makes the wheel kind of buzz as you drive along, but I like the feel. I like the texture delivered through the wheel. Now, going quickly is one thing. I mean, you expect this car to go well, but I also want to talk about what it's like to just drive normally. And honestly, it is the first car in a long time in which I spent the majority of my time in sport mode because the suspension, even in sport, is comfortable and compliant. Even though we have these big wheels, this car rides really well, even on crappy Toronto city pavement. It's certainly a car that doesn't beat you up like the M4 CS that we had on the show a while ago. And it's also, as you might see, an absolutely exquisite place just to be. The cabin is cozy. This is Aston's smallest car after all, but it's comfortable. The elbow rests are perfectly spaced. It makes you feel special. I feel like I could drive this car for hours without fatigue. It certainly is a car that you could drive to and from work every day and feel relaxed. The wind noise and buffeting, they really have a little wind screen back there. I'm gonna call it good, not excellent. I've been in convertibles that did a better job of managing wind. I've also been in ones that did a worse job, so I'm giving it a good score for that. Also, this leather interior is from the monochrome leather interior, is a $12,000 option. And that seems absurd to me, that this is this much leather for extended leather. However, every single person that's gotten in the car has commented on how soft the leather is and how well stitched it is. It's remarkable. This is a beautiful interior. Now, when I heard that Aston had come up with their own infotainment system for this car, I was worried, because typically boutique infotainment systems leave a lot to be desired. It's logical. They don't have the development funds that Ford does. And I was a little bit worried. However, this system that they've developed is great, actually. It looks clean, it looks expensive, it functions, it doesn't kick my phone off randomly, it's easy to use. This infotainment system is actually amazingly good, because one of the things that I didn't like about other exotic cars is sometimes you get in them and the infotainment screen is like borrowed from a Volvo or something, and it immediately takes down that experience. As well, there's a lot of electronic drive modes here to choose from. There's individual, which is kind of you set your preferences, it's the most chill mode. There's sport, sport plus, and track. Each mode does feel sufficiently different to me, and so I really like the tuning on them actually. I also have hard-mounted buttons here if I want to manually control things like my noisy exhaust mode or my stiff suspension mode, and I like that there's hard buttons for that. Some of the things are less successful in this interior, like I have these like little rolly wheels that control like temperature and the fan speed and the volume, but when I'm driving, I don't know which is which, and so I kind of have to read these labels. I don't love that part as much, but I can live with it. The seats are honestly amazing, supportive, comfortable, adjustable, and beautiful. Honestly, the seats are great. So now you may be thinking, well, Clayton, it's fast, it's beautiful, what's not to like? Well, there are a few things, because the handmade nature of this car gives, but it also takes. There are some qualities of the assembly of this car indicate its hand-built nature. For example, when I shut the door, I can watch the panel, the interior panel of the door, wobble when I shut it. I can watch it move around, and the sound it makes when it shuts isn't premium. As well, like, there are rattles in this car. Things do rattle, and things like squeak. Like if I press on the speaker grate or the console, I can like hear the little ear, and it's not offensive, but it is there, and I don't notice that in like a Porsche. So these are the things you'll get with a hand-built car. They're highly individual, highly customizable. The compromise is that, well, they're built by humans, not robots, and you're gonna have individual things like that that are kind of different. Which would take me into my next question, which is, should you buy one? Well, there's two main rivals for this car I want to focus on. The first is the Porsche 911. There's a variant to suit kind of any buyer. I think that this car would kind of align with a Porsche 911 Turbo Cabrio. That car would be roughly about the same money to start, base MSRP, depending on if you get the Turbo or Turbo S. Way faster, and in my opinion, less personal. It's kind of an obvious choice, and it's certainly not as customizable as this car. And it doesn't reflect the art that this car has. More close in line to what this car is, I think, is the Ferrari Roma. Now, the Roma does start about $40,000 more than this car. Base price is $300,000 Canadian, and a Ferrari without options, you'll never see one. So it's going to be more expensive than this car when it's all said and done. The pros are that the Ferrari Roma is more direct, it feels more sporty, it feels more agile. The cons are that the top takes way longer, twice as long as this car, and the Ferrari's like kind of weird turn signal on the wheel thing. It's not as livable as this car feels to me. This also has a larger trunk. This is a real trunk. I have my camera kit, a tripod, a backpack. I have everything in the trunk. It's quite usable. But I think that this car, despite all the numbers I've given you, it kind of defies categorization by the numbers. I can tell you the horsepower, I can tell you the 0 to 60, I can tell you the weight, I can tell you how much all these crazy options cost. But in my opinion, after driving it and after driving some other cars in this price range, which I'm very lucky to do so, 650 horsepower is a lot. 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds. It's quite fast. However, it's not what it used to be. And you may be thinking that $370,000 is a lot to spend for that envelope of performance, and that a Porsche, for less money, will go faster and is better constructed. I would agree with you. But I think that the Porsche is a story, and this car is a poem. This car has a certain level of spirituality that you will not find in any Porsche product. You just won't. It's just not there. And the virtues of a poem are not as immediately available as those in a story. You can read a story once and understand it. To understand a poem, you have to kind of read it a few times and take some time in between to let it sink in. This all sounds very nerdy, dumb English teacher. What I'm saying is that this car is kind of more hard to understand than a Porsche. It doesn't appeal to the same logic centers of the brain. You can't just point at the dollars and the horsepower and the, what it is and say, well, there it is. It's a good car, or it isn't. It requires understanding to enjoy this car. It won't be for everyone. And if you want a perfect product, this plainly is not it. There's assembly issues, there's personality quirks to this car. It's very good, but it's not perfect, and I think it's better for it. So I actually like the hand-built nature of this car. I like its quirks. I like the turbo lag. I think that things like this accentuate my experience. I feel like this company created a personal car, one that's intended to be enjoyed and loved by those who buy it. Their goal wasn't lap times building this car. I doubt it was horsepower or 0 to 60. It seems like the goal here was to create something beautiful, like a poem. And I would have to say, they've succeeded. It's a beautiful experience, this car. It's beautiful to look at. It smells nice. It sounds beautiful. Interacting with it is a beautiful experience. And I think if you could buy a car at any price that delivers that kind of beauty, it's a good buy. And on that note, thanks for watching. For Driving.ca, I'm Clayton Seams, and don't forget to check out more of our sporty car reviews. We also review totally regular cars, CRVs, RAV4s, Forester. Every year we try to drive every single car. So, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe. And if you're watching it on Driving, check out the article. But for now, I'm gonna get back to enjoying this beautiful car. I'm gonna step on it one more time just because when you have a beautiful thing, you have to enjoy it. Brings a tear to your eye, doesn't it?